I'm staying in this Lionel Messi Airbnb.
But I'm also staying in this $38 a night Airbnb because over the past week, I traveled all the way to Florida to experience the cheapest and most expensive ways of watching the FIFA Club World Cup.
We are literally pitchside to watch Messi.
But my cheap experience started in Orlando.
And to kick off our cheap Club World Cup experience, I'm staying at the Main Gate Lakeside Resort, which was actually the cheapest Airbnb I could find for only $38 a night. But before going inside, let me share the listing with you guys. So this place has a 2.72 rating out of 621 reviews. So my expectations are pretty much non-existent right now. Philippe did leave a 1-star review though, saying, terrible. If that wasn't enough to convince you how bad this place is though, Ephraim did say, this was the most disgusting resort/motel I have ever stayed in. The rooms were filthy, the sheets were not washed. I will never recommend this place to anyone. Me and my family left immediately. I had to find somewhere else to stay for the night. Diego also left a 1-star review and he said, do not come to this dump. You will be nauseated by the smell of mold and moisture, but the most deplorable thing is the lack of hygiene. Diego also left his review in all caps just in case you couldn't pick up on his disgust. But finally, Pablo did give this place 3 stars and he said, a very old and smelly place to stay. I'm really not looking forward to staying here, but it's time to check in.
My main goal with this journey was to experience the cheapest way to watch the Club World Cup this summer, so for only $38 a night, I wasn't gonna be too picky with this place. Inside, the lobby did kinda seem like it was forgotten at one point in time though, and after waiting a really long time, I was finally able to check in, where I got my keys and also a map to find my room. It felt like a treasure hunt to find where I was staying, but eventually I made it. And for $38 a night, you're probably thinking this place isn't too bad. I mean, it did come with the basics, but it also had some features that weren't on the listing. Like this really big, mysterious stain. I don't even want to guess how this thing was made. A missing lock on my door, holes in my curtains, and a puddle on my carpet.
For some reason, the floor is also soaking wet coming out of the bathroom, which sort of scares me a little bit. I don't want to stay here.
To make things even stranger, I also had no running water in my room, which terrified me even more because I may actually have had toilet water on my floor. But for $38 a night, it wasn't that bad, right?
So I just checked in, and even though the Airbnb booking was only $38, I just got hit with a deposit, resort fee, and also an early check-in fee for $111. So this place isn't even that cheap at all.
It turns out there was a ton of hidden charges with my room, which turned it from $38 a night to nearly $150.
As soon as I walked in this room, it felt like I got hit in the face with a massive smelly fist. This place absolutely reeks. But now it's time to show you the features of this room.
Apart from the 2 beds, my room did come with a hairdryer, iron, TV, and a lamp that didn't work.
The 2 chairs in this room also look like they have every single fluid you could ever dream of on them. So I've now been in this room 10 minutes, and I think I can safely say this is gonna be the worst place I'm ever gonna stay. There is a couple other features of this place I'm gonna check out, but I have a feeling it's not gonna be worth the $150 I just spent on it.
I was really trying to stay positive for my cheap Club World Cup experience because outside, this place did actually look very decent. It just seems like they forgot about it at one point. But apart from a pool, this resort did have a mini golf area, laundry, and an arcade with even more mystery stains. I felt like the games in here hadn't been updated since the early 2000s, but I still won a football game.
Yes. Did I win? I won a ball. So fortunately, I get to leave this place for a couple of hours because it's finally time to go to our cheap Club World Cup experience.
I headed to the Camping World Stadium to try out the cheapest Club World Cup ticket I could find.
So I've just made it to the Camping World Stadium to watch Man City take on Juventus, and I have the cheapest Club World Cup ticket possible. It was still $75 though, which isn't crazy cheap, but we're gonna go inside and see if it's actually that bad.
My $75 ticket didn't give me any special entry to the stadium, so after walking to my gate, I scanned my ticket.
Hi, how are you?
Tap it up here. Next! Thank you.
Thank you. So we've made it inside, but we've got to find our seats now, and they're all the way at the top of the stadium. This is not going to be fun. Where do we go? 2, 1, 3.
But my journey to my seat really only began because I then had to take 2 escalators and climb some stairs before reaching my seat, right at the back of the stadium.
So I finally made it to my seat, very slightly out of breath, and I can touch the back wall of the stadium. And we are so far away from the players.
To make things worse, my seat wasn't even a seat, so for $75, my ticket was a bit of a letdown. But hey, at least the sun was shining.
Yeah, I think this is probably the worst football experience I've ever got.
But once the teams took their lineup photos and completed their team talks, the game could finally kick off. And from my seat, it was actually quite difficult to see a lot of what was happening on the pitch. But after just a couple minutes, Man City had a chance to open the scoring.
So we're 5 minutes in and Man City got the first chance and they nearly scored, I think. I can't really see.
But just minutes later, Doku had an even better chance to score.
And that's 1-0 to Man City. I think Doku just scored. Maybe, I don't know who it was.
The truth was, it was actually really tough to see what players were on the pitch, but at least the game was full of action.
That's 1-1. Juventus just scored. What a goal!
And even though this match was already really exciting, the atmosphere inside the stadium was just kind of dead. But the chances kept coming for City. And on the 26th minute, they had yet another chance to go ahead.
That was another terrible goal, and it's now 2-1 to Man City.
My cheap experience was only about to get even tougher to watch though.
So to make this experience even worse, a thunderstorm is about to start.
And just 5 minutes before half-time, a literal thunderstorm hit the stadium.
Funnily enough, the wall behind me is stopping the rain.
I'm Irish, so I'm pretty used to rain, but this stuff in Orlando was hitting differently.
Yeah, I think this is probably the worst football experience I've ever got.
After the rain slowly stopped, Man City still had one last chance before the ref called for half-time.
So it's just hit half-time, and even though the experience has been pretty awful so far, it's time to try and find some food.
I wasn't sure what to expect for food from the stadium, but after going inside, I found a Little Caesars pizza, where I was hit with the choices of pepperoni pizza or cheese pizza. Queuing also took a seriously long time, but I finally got my food.
Thanks so much, have a good day. So I've got a slice of cheese pizza and a soda for $19.70. It looks like a lasagna. And it doesn't taste great either. It's sort of like cheesy bread, which is what a pizza is, but this is somehow worse. And I also had to wait so long for this pizza that the second half has already started.
I ended up being late for the second half, but I made it back to my seat just in time to see Haaland score.
And that makes it 3-1 to City, and we just made it out in time to watch Haaland score.
City looked to be in full control of the game, and even as the thunderstorm went on, they found even more chances for goals.
That makes it 4-1 to City, and it looks like that's game over.
But just 6 minutes later, Savinho scored the 5th to wrap it up for City.
It's 5-1 to City now, and it's definitely over.
Vlahovic ended up pulling one back, but it was just too late for Juventus, with Man City winning the game 5-2.
So the game is finally over, but our misery does not end there because it's time to go back to the Airbnb.
So I just made it back to my Airbnb, and so far this experience has been pretty awful. While the game earlier was actually really good, I thought the view was terrible, the atmosphere was non-existent, and funnily enough, I didn't think the ticket was worth $75. However, I still have to stay the night here, and to be honest, I'm just waiting to get it over with. So this is good night.
So I survived the night here, but I have a bit of a fear I have bed bugs now. But it's finally time to leave this place.
But after my cheap Club World Cup experience was complete, it was time to check out the expensive experience.
And I'm in Miami, and later on today, I'm gonna be watching Messi with the most expensive Club World Cup ticket. But first we've got to see where I'm staying, and down the street behind me is a Messi Airbnb. And before we go inside, let's check out the listing. This place has a 4.82 rating out of 90 reviews, so my expectations are pretty high right now. And to get an idea of what this place is like, we're gonna read some reviews. The first review came from Dudley's, who said, "Decorating was beautiful, messy," but he spelt Messi with 3 I's for some reason. Next up, Hugo Vicente, it's kind of like Vincent except all the letters are jumbled up, said, "The house was amazing, loved the decor. My kids are now Messi fans. I can't lie, if this place isn't a dream for Messi fans, then I'm gonna be really disappointed." Finally, Hansel said, "This place is just like the picture. Very clean, the pool was great, my kids loved it. If I can, I'll give more than 5 stars." I also checked out the pictures of this place before booking it, and it kind of looks like they tried to get a guy who looks like Messi for the photo shoot, except he kind of just looks like if you tried to draw Messi from memory and then stuck him in the gym for 5 years. But I'm not gonna judge it off that. Anyway, let's go check it out.
From the outside, this Airbnb looked like any ordinary house on this street. But after opening the front door, this place became pretty special. And after stepping inside, it was covered in so many Messi Easter eggs. Besides the Argentina wallpaper, it also had 2 World Cup trophies and an entire wall covered in footballs.
I haven't checked out the whole place yet, but so far, everything looks incredible.
I decided to explore the kitchen and dining area next, and yet again, it was covered with Messi references, like this Messi art, and also a couple framed Messi jerseys.
Also, a pretty nice touch in this house is that they have 2 framed Messi shirts.
Next, I walked into the games room, which quickly turned into my favorite room in this house. Besides the 2 foosball tables,
Yes, come on.
this room had even more football-inspired art on the walls.
This place even has football beanbags. Out of everything in this Airbnb though, I think the life-size Messi light is probably my favorite. This place has so many Messi details, even the paint looks like an Argentina shirt. This might be a Messi Airbnb, but the TV is called a Sansu. If I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I think this is probably one of the best football-themed places I've ever stayed. Pretty much everything in this house is Messi related, which I really love, and it also just looks amazing.
But once I checked out the main rooms, I had to take a look at this Airbnb's backyard.
I should mention it's really hot outside, so I'm gonna try and speedrun everything that's in this garden. It's got a kitchen, a swimming pool, this giant seat, 2 sunbeds, mini golf. Oh my days. This sack throwy thing. And this life-size football pool table.
After going back inside, the other rooms in this Airbnb included 2 bathrooms, as well as not 1, not 2, but 3 bedrooms, which had even more Messi references on the wall.
One of my favorite features about this place is how they have one of Messi's best ever quotes on the wall. Also, a pretty fun fact while I'm staying here, today is actually Messi's birthday. And even though I've enjoyed checking out this place, it's time to go watch him play. The best thing about this Airbnb is that it's right here, and the stadium Messi is playing in is right there. It's pretty close.
I tried walking towards the stadium, but for some reason, nothing in America is walkable, so I ended up having to take an Uber to get to the Hard Rock Stadium. But once I arrived, I finally made it to where Inter Miami would be facing off against Palmeiras. And I also met this dolphin guy.
That was clean. So as part of the expensive football experience, I did buy this $1,000 ticket to watch Messi, which actually gives us access to an exclusive lounge 2 hours before kickoff.
Unlike the cheap experience, the $1,000 ticket came with my own private entrance. And after scanning my ticket, I got my VIP wristband from a woman who seemed really happy to be there.
Thank you.
And you're gonna go through the double doors.
Perfect, thanks so much.
As well as an exclusive Club World Cup gift.
We even got a gift.
Once I walked past the lobby of this place though,
This place is crazy.
I made it to the main hospitality area, which actually had 3 different lounges to sit in before the game. But the food in this place was also insane. There were so many crazy looking options, as well as sushi that literally spelled FIFA.
Look at the size of that lump of meat. And he's spraying it. I'm so intrigued. Usually when I watch my mum cook, it's not this interesting.
But this lounge also had desserts as well as sweets. But after trying out the food, there wasn't long left until kickoff, and it was finally time to check out my seat.
We are literally pitchside to watch Messi.
My seat was just meters away from the pitch, and by the time I got to it, the players made it out for the warm-up, which gave me my first look at Lionel Messi.
I just took my seat, so I guess it's time to see what the gift is. It's a notebook. Pretty cool.
But after the opening ceremony was complete, the players made it out for kickoff.
They just turned the lights off. I hope they turn them back on before the players come out. They're back.
And after seeing players like Ustari and Suarez walk out, there was only one player left to take the field for Inter Miami.
I've seen Messi play a couple times, but the way they call out the players at the Club World Cup makes it feel really special.
Once all the lineups were complete, the game finally kicked off. But one thing I noticed right away was that my low angle of the pitch actually stopped me from seeing everything that was happening in the game. And people's heads in front of me were actually blocking my view of the pitch.
I'm just seeing the back of some guy's head right now.
With a mullet that majestic though, I felt like I couldn't really complain. These seats did give me a perfect view of the players though. And on the pitch, Inter Miami seemed to have control of the game for the first half, with Messi creating a lot of chances. And even had a great chance to score just minutes in. But after Palmeiras lost the ball from a corner, Inter Miami had the chance for a counter-attack and scored.
Inter Miami just scored. That means Messi's winning.
Palmeiras really fought to get back into the game though, and had the best chances for the rest of the first half. And it even looked like Messi was getting more frustrated as the half went on. But when he picked up the ball in Palmeiras' half, he tried to create one last chance before half-time. But he picked up a yellow card instead.
We might not see a Messi goal, but we did see a Messi yellow card.
Once half-time hit though, it was time to go back inside for some desserts before the second half kicked off.
He's got his shirt off. The second half has just started and we're 45 minutes away from seeing Messi win.
Even though Inter Miami were 1-0 up, Palmeiras looked a lot stronger in the second half and had the best chances of getting the next goal. Messi was still doing his best to secure the win for his team, but 20 minutes into the half, it was Luis Suarez who picked up the ball near the halfway line to create a crazy chance.
There's only 23 minutes left, but it looks like Inter Miami are going to win.
Even though Palmeiras looked beaten, their players were still fighting. And with Inter Miami taking off some of their best players, Palmeiras grabbed a goal with just 10 minutes to go. Even though I was hoping for a Messi win, Palmeiras' fans were some of the best I've ever seen. And their team were now fighting for an equalizer. But with just 3 minutes to go, they found the perfect chance.
There's still 4 minutes of added time. I think anything could happen.
So with the game all level, the tension was rising with the Inter Miami and Palmeiras players. And after creating one last chance, the game finished 2-2.
And it's over. Messi didn't win, but that was a crazy game.
Once my expensive experience was over, it was time to head home. So I've just made it back from the Inter Miami match, and even though we didn't get to see Messi score, I still think it was a really great game. But that pretty much brings an end to my cheap versus expensive Club World Cup experience. But if you did enjoy this video, you might like this one too. Good night.